So for me, it's it goes back to the old adage of watch what a person does, not what they say. So
Exactly.
it doesn't. What they've done in the past is an indication, but not a guarantee of what's going to happen in the future.
Hmm.
But if you're seeing their actions in the moment and their actions actually line up with their words, then you're onto something that's at least going to be mostly positive.
Yeah.
But it's when there's that disparate difference. Like the Orange Man said a lot of things. I'm not sure how many of them he's actually holding on to by our interpretation, but by his, he's probably being very truthful by his interpretation
Oh,
of his words.
honestly, yeah.
So it's
The
like,
liar doesn't think
ugh.
he's a liar. Right?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or like that that whole thing where I used to want to try being in the entertainment industry. That's why I moved to California.
Mm,
But what we were being always taught is that the antagonist or the bad person in the film or in the show doesn't know they're bad. They think they're good. They think they're
yeah,
doing the best that they need to do or for themselves or for others or whatever. They don't always think they're the bad person. And not that they're like delusional. They just really don't think that what they're doing based on their values and their perspective and whatever is bad.
yeah, yep.
So, I mean,
Or some may say, I'm doing bad things, but for a good result.
yeah, the
There's that
ends
one that's
justify the
like,
means type of deal.
yeah,
But if they don't lay out what that result is and we can't see it based on their actions, you're like, okay, well, this isn't making any sense. This isn't adding up to the 2 plus 2 is 4. It's adding up to the 2 plus 2 is whatever you want. That type of
modern
thinking.
economics.
Yes, that whole, it's gonna add up. You'll see, you'll see. We'll see it add up, but it's not gonna add up to what it makes sense to.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I do find that politics is going through a transition,
Oh my gosh, yes.
and I, yeah, I mean, last election it was not a, in my opinion. I'm not in America, but there was no good choices for you guys.
Um, Honestly, it's like if you think about it, at least with my experience here, because I honestly, even me being Colombian, I don't really follow Colombian politics that much. Once in a while I have recently, but not so much as I have here because I'm living here, right? But if you think about it, it's like how long already have we just dealt with the lesser of the two evils? That's
Yeah,
been a constant with every election. And I'll take myself out of my perspective and be like, I can understand sometimes the choices that some people will make
yeah.
because they're tired of the lesser of two evils. And it was, whoa, this is something different.
It's going to
This is
shake the
like,
establishment.
let's shake things up. And you know what? It needs to be. I know that I've talked to friends before where we look at civilizations and countries and they're thriving and then they have their downfall.
Yeah,
Sometimes, and based on how many years, decades, whatever, there needs to be not that there needs to be, it's just that historically we look at there's downfalls. And I feel I don't want it to be, and I hope that when after the crumble, there's a better build. But I feel that US right now is going through its crumble, its
yes,
downfall.
yeah. I like to think of it a little bit like with people. Like you go through hard stuff, and then you get to decide what you do with that you've learned. So
Yeah,
you can either grow from it, or it can crush you.
exactly.
And
Yeah, you let it, you create that resilience if you want. Like you realize where you're at and you start processing, feeling the emotions, going through whatever's happening, and you can either come out on the other end more resilient and with a learned experience, or you can let it sink you and you're just in this, you know, hole that you can't get out of, which creates more aggression, more anger, more negativity, more pessimism, all these different things. And then you
yeah,
develop this personality that wasn't you anymore.
yeah, but it becomes you
It becomes
because
you,
you
yeah.
take it
And
on.
then yeah, and then you're that person or whoever that they say, Oh no, that's just Bob. He's always like that. He's always angry. That's just who he is.
Oh,
And
come on, Bob, do better.
right? But I just said Bob, right? That poor Bob. Yeah, that's who you be. And then the same thing. It's like if we look at it in the bigger picture, it's like can if we rebuild and we heal and grow from something that's happening as tragedy and other things that are not going well for everyone, and if we get past that to the other side, we can rebuild better. If not, it's going to be a long while in that hole for the whole country in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me at the moment, like, again, I'm sitting outside, so I'm hearing bits
Yeah.
and pieces from Brazil and what I know from Australia. But everywhere, it's not just to the US, but everywhere, there's
Yeah.
like there's two things at play when you're going through something like the US is now. Systems. So your systems are being compromised. All of your systems are being shown for what culture has allowed to infiltrate. So every system, no matter how strong it is going to eventually fall down. Because humans
Yeah.
will push it, they'll push, they'll push, they'll push, they'll push, and eventually something's going to break. Because you can only push a system so long before its integrity just collapses.
Yeah,
And
that is
and for
true. And go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, for me, that's driven by the culture that's there at the time. Like, I couldn't imagine a 1950s America behaving the way it does now, but the culture in the 1950s is not even close to the culture that at least that I see from TV or online or anything like that. They're totally different entities. So you've got
Yeah,
this culture that's effectively allowing it.
it is. It is. And it has to, and a lot of it has to do with those who have power or have a voice, because it isn't just politics, but those who have a voice and are being listened to and allowed to, because of the freedoms, obviously, allowed to express themselves in a way that hurts other people, I think. Allowing that, giving permission for everyone else to behave that way because those who have influence and have power are doing it. And it's sad to say, but for the most part, I think we as human beings are followers. We
Oof,
we
ooh, that
we
one's going
wa-
to hit home for someone.
it is, and I'm sorry. I'm including myself because even though I try to think of myself as someone who thinks outside that box or tries to um, just think for myself, there can be influences, and those people with influence and power have a lot of sway over how we want to see ourselves and the world and society. And we're followers because it's just one less thing that we have to deal with past our bills, past
Yeah,
just a lot of people surviving, all these different things that are stacked up already almost against us.
yeah.
They don't want to have to think about the bigger choices that run society.
And
So we're
and
followers.
but that to me is the biggest. Well, there's two main differences. There's a whole heap. But if I go back to my understanding of 50s America, people were still followers, but they were conscious of what they had to go through in World War Two. There was a whole different sense of community. So it wasn't about
Yeah.
individuals being sheep, it was about a collective together trying to be better. So there was a little bit more critical thinking than there is
Yes.
now. And we get so
Exactly. Yeah.
overloaded with information. So there was less information, then there's just ridiculous amounts of information now, too much information. And we have
And
to
too
try and
much fake
sift,
information too.
yeah, we have to try and sift through what's real, what's not. And then you've got a more individualistic society on top of that. So you don't trust your neighbours, you don't, not to the same extent. There's
No,
the community cohesion has been eroded.
it has.
And the people down low, you can only, when you don't have the money and the influence, when what you've got is each other, and that breaks down, then you can't
You're
put forward your
isolated.
will as a community. It's becomes impossible, and
Yeah.
it's I think it comes from the top, but I also think it comes from the bottom. I think it's both ways.
I mean, I can see that. I can see but honestly, it comes from the bottom in the sense of that division, that separation. But that has come from, in my opinion, it comes from that influence. Because, for instance, I remember growing up as a kid, as a teenager, and FCC here completely regulating how they deliver news. We can count on the news on the regular local channels, CNN, CBS, all those to actually deliver real news, not
Yeah,
just corporate news or their opinion news or their right or left wings perspective. It was just straight up news.
yeah,
Nowadays, most people who are, let's say, 40 and under, maybe even a little younger, don't watch local news because they can't get real news from there. They know
no,
that because it's
yeah,
all bought by corporate. And that's where, like, once it started loosening up the reins on how corporations can work, they started taking more power, therefore influencing everybody. It's that whole idea of having choices, but at the same time not really having choices because
yeah,
everything is, oh yeah, look at all these choices of drinks I have, but at the same time, no, it's really one company. You're giving it all to us.
yeah, yeah.
And the irony of that is that human beings want choices, but you can't have too many because it overwhelms you anyways. Psychology's already done that. So that's why so it's like,
Yep, I get
how
there.
do we work with that? How do we work with that dichotomy? It's like, I want choices, but don't give me too many because I'm going to be overwhelmed and be in a corner crying, you know? Which is true. So
Sitting in
it's
the fetal
that
position.
influence. Yeah. Yes, it is. It's like, and I mean, we, for instance, at home, we're like, hey, let's watch a movie on Friday night Netflix or whatever. We'll sit there for 15, 20 minutes because we're all trying to figure out what movie to watch because there's so many and there's so many kids and people involved in who
Yeah.
chooses what they want to choose. And sometimes it's the time wasted just looking for the movie. Like, isn't it? I think Steve Jobs, didn't he always just say he had just like the same outfit because that would give one thing less to think about so he focused on everything else? It's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Oh, it's kind of crazy.
It is,
Sorry,
but that.
I had a thought before and it's just gone out of my head, but that's all right.
Oh, I
Um,
have tons of those. I have tons of those. Don't worry. I'm with you. I understand.
I remember now. I think because when you were talking about corporatized media and all that sort of stuff, I was thinking it was still corporatized back in the day, but it was sprinkles. It wasn't
And it
the
was a
whole
little bit more
cake.
regulated. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like
nowadays
corporations couldn't just merge for the heck of it.
yeah,
They do
yeah,
now. It's like, no, we're merging. No, we're allowed to. Back then, cable, internet, we had a variety.
yeah,
Now it's like, oh, I think what Time Warner and then now all the mobile services offer internet, but they're
yeah.
all just one corporation anyways. But before we had choices, I can actually move somewhere and have three or four or even more different internet options. Now
Which
it's
is
not.
yeah,
Oh,
competition. I thought that's what you know.
exactly, the competition, which funny enough, I know we were talking before we started recording on this. The person that I told you that I looked up,
Mm,
that's what he wants to do. He wants to try to first get corporations and big businesses and billionaires to pay their share.
hmm.
And the other thing was to allow better competition, like for instance, for bills. Like here in California, it's LADWP. That's it.
For what?
That's my
Sorry.
utility for
Oh,
utilities, for my electricity. That's it.
that's it. One
That's
choice
it.
for the whole
Yeah,
state.
and they have a monopoly over it. So like he wants to create healthy competition in regards to being able to provide the service so that
Yeah,
people can choose what they want as their service as opposed to just that one LADWP thing.
yeah. I,
So
I
yeah.
I don't know the exact stats, and maybe anybody listening can like post a comment or something. But I think there's some theories that once you get to like five or four players in a certain industry, it
Mhm.
almost works like a monopoly anyway. If they're all about the same size, they all kind of collude together and it still
And then
goes.
one
So
buys
it's
another one out, and then the oth- who's gonna
yeah,
say, "Oh, I don't want, $50 million or $50 billion for my company. I don't want that. I want to continue working my butt off instead of buying an island somewhere." I get that.
yeah,
But at the
totally.
same time, or when somebody creates an app and they don't, and then all of a sudden it gets bought by a big company for, $2 billion. Who doesn't
Yeah.
want that, you know?
Or if I made the app, I'd probably take the money. Yeah,
I wanted to make an app, but then I didn't have the money to create it back, at least a few years back. I think it's easier now to create an app, isn't it?
yeah. I think AI can do most of it for you. It's it's kind of
AI can
crazy.
create the app for you.
I don't know the quality of it, but that's a whole
Yeah.
different thing.
And AI is a whole different beast for sure.
Talking about, I'm going to bring this back to your specialty. Although we're going to go down some sort of rabbit
Yeah, for
holes, I'm
sure.
sure beyond that. But talking about like corporate mergers and all that sort of stuff, one of your specialties, well, you're a life coach and a nutritionist.
A transformational life coach and a holistic nutrition coach, yeah.
Yep, what she said, everybody. Um, so from the nutrition side of it, it's really dominated by a few big players, isn't it? Like the food
Yes.
industry, especially in America. It has got that corporatization about
It's
it.
the same thing exactly. I mean, I think even some food companies are owned by pharma, I believe. And the FDA is another acronym that used to regulate much better than it does now. Like and I know that compared to Europe and other countries, there's still a lot of additives that are included in our food that other places are like, yeah, we're not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. You know? It's not
Yep,
coming into our food choice, especially for children's food. And that kind of setup creates a lot of confusion for people because me growing up, even though my mom, she didn't speak English, so her label reading wasn't the best. I mean, I ate processed foods and things like that. She just, it's like, yeah, sure, here. She would cook for us. That I was grateful because my mom did have the opportunity. Unfortunately, not everybody does have the opportunity or the time to do so, but my mom had the opportunity and time to cook for us every day.
yeah,
So we'd always
that's
have home
awesome.
cooked meals. And my mom never thought of fast food as a treat like we do now.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a
I
big
think
thing.
for some people it's gone from treat to staple.
It has. And even though there are a few fast food places who are trying to create healthier choices within their food, excuse me, if it's not fresh, like I think there was a vegan fast food place north of in California, like maybe Sacramento or something like that, that has their garden, their fresh veggies and garden stuff up on their roof, and that's where they get their stuff to create their food, which I thought was
Oh,
so
that's
great.
cool.
It is, but and then making it fast food, but at the same time, you know, there's still some kind of processing. And I don't believe that, oh, you should just eliminate processed foods altogether because there's some processing that has not gone through the extensiveness that you don't know what the heck it was originally. You know? It's like, what was that? Because, I don't think I've seen that anywhere else. But, things have processing, there's got to
Yeah.
be sometimes a little bit of processing unless you're literally just going to eat, a fruit or a vegetable. And even the grain, has a little processing like a rice or pasta, which, so there's no problem with having some processed foods. It's just the ultra processed foods that the additives that they have that you can't even pronounce, obviously, or I love the yellow number four, blue number this or red number that. I'm like, I have nieces and nephews who range between 4 and 10,
Hmm.
and I'm always in their head telling them, "Oh no, I don't eat processed food or I don't eat things that aren't real." And they're like, "Well, what is that? What does that mean, Thea?" And so I tell them, like I got them away from McDonald's. They don't eat McDonald's anymore because out of all the fast foods, that's like one of the worst.
Oh, really?
At least in the States, because I know
Hmm.
that McDonald's caters based on the country.
Yep.
But here in the States, McDonald's is literally one of the worst.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like
I
on the
didn't
top
realize that.
five, top four. Yes, it's horrible. There's In and Out here in California. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, and a lot of them are a lot better. It's still fast food. It's still fried. It's still this, but it's a lot better than McDonald's. Much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's trying to minimize those additives and those ultra processed foods and getting towards more whole foods. So that for me, I with my clients, I work on more um, the whole foods added to their diet instead of trying to take things away right away, because
Yeah.
that's very limiting and it's gonna probably create more stress that you can't have that comfort food. And that comfort food obviously comes from an emotional thing that you've attached to it. There's something that it's bringing you comfort because some anxiety or stress that you're dealing with, and that's how your body is reacting. Oh, I'm going to get this comfort food. It's going to make me feel better.
Yeah. Well, let's deep dive into that because that's going to be a big one for so many people.
Yeah.
So is that
What you have to try to go ahead and do with that too is you have
mm,
to try to find out what it is that your body is getting from that comfort food. Like what is it that is, you're feeling comfort, but from what? What created that anxiety, that stress right before that wanted you to go for that cookie, go for that, you know, what this processed cereal, the muffin, that whatever, that comfort food, what happened before that created that? And then so you sort of like de-evolve it, figure out where that's coming from, and then find a healthier way to
yeah.
help your body regulate itself again. And this isn't like this isn't from one day to the next. A lot of times, especially people who have that perfectionist tendency, who also have that need to scroll instant gratification, which happens to a lot of us because of the internet and how, videos work now, that instant gratification of scrolling, we want the same thing with our health, and it's not going to work
Yes.
that way. You have to have patience and love for yourself in order to realize that these steps are going to be small, but they're going to be actionable. They're going to be getting you past that hill that eventually you're going to feel stressed or anxious and you're not going to go for that cookie. You're going to take some breaths, maybe make yourself some tea, go for a walk, meditate, maybe do a Sudoku puzzle. I love Sudoku. Something that relaxes you and brings you back to yourself instead of eating that whatever that you're going to eat that isn't healthy. Unless you want to eat an apple, it's like, hey, if your urge to feel better is go and get an apple, go get the apple, you know? But
Yeah.
but yeah,
So it's like
that's usually how it's meant to go. It's meant to be in those spurts, like little
yeah, so,
bits.
so it's like by all means you can substitute food so you can still kind of have that food drive, but even changing it from something like a chocolate bar to an apple, it doesn't necessarily get rid
Yeah.
of the stress, but it impacts your body less
It
or
gives
in a
you
more
your
positive
body's at
way.
least, yeah, exactly, getting that healthy fiber, those other vitamins. And and then the thing is sometimes you do like if you do go for something and you're not thinking you're anxious or stressed or anything's happening, you might just be hungry. And then your instinct is sometimes to go for that sugary or super savory or whatever it is, chips and things that that there's studies that the chip companies went ahead, I don't know which one was the first one that started, but they've done studies on the decibel in regards to the chip crunching in your mouth and how you hear it in your ear. I'm not joking, how you hear it in your ear so that it makes you want more. They made sure that the crunch was just the right amount of noise in your ear so that you can continue wanting to eat and eat. I mean, again,
Oh, that's fascinating.
these fast foods, these junk food, all these, they've done their work. They've done their psychological work for marketing, for the coloring. We already know that colors impact us. The wording, they use NLP, which I'm trained in. They use NLP against you to make you want to buy something, to make you need that, I mean, come on. We've seen how they make commercials for burgers and then you get it and you're like, Yeah, that didn't look like the commercial, but you bought it anyway,
You and you
right?
knew you'd
So,
be disappointed when you bought it, but you still bought it.
and you still bought it, and I'm not a food waster. I would be like, all right, fine, I'm gonna eat it, but I'm not gonna order again.
Until next
But
time.
yeah, right? So, so those are things that we have to think about that in a way are working against us of our health because, they're companies and government, and I feel government shouldn't regulate how a company does commercials in regards to food, for instance, or certain things,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
exactly, that's just too much government control, which is what we always try to avoid. So, but at the same time, I feel that it's like a double-edged sword. The public education system is also not giving the kids the proper healthy food here in the States. I'm speaking only because that's what I know of. And at the same time, um, not catering to neurodivergent thinking because it isn't just a kid who's autistic or a kid who's ADHD. There's just, we think differently, and then allowing them to learn to process and learn to process emotions, not just at home, but in school, so that they can learn. Because adults don't even know how to regulate their emotions. And then that's when they start binge eating. That's when they
Yeah.
start craving those bars that they think are healthy, but really it's just full of sugar and other junk
Mm,
because they can't regulate that emotion that they're having because they never got taught to.
yeah.
So they
Uh,
go into this crazy diet.
yeah, it's a it's a weird world and a bit of a nasty world, I think. Can I get you to expand on the NLP in
Oh,
advertising?
yeah.
Because I think that would be fascinating. Like I know that there's tricks and stuff, but I have when something like NLP gets weaponized, that's probably not a good thing.
Oh my gosh. I actually went down this rabbit hole, funny enough, because it's neuro-linguistic programming for those who don't know what the acronym stands for. And it's really obviously neural related to our brain, linguistics related to our words, and obviously the programming. So that's pretty much what it goes for. And it's about the way our brain will process the words we use and the thoughts we think, or even what's being fed to us word-wise, right? So I went down this rabbit hole a few weeks back because I saw this video, and when I see a video of somebody spewing out names, I like to research those names and see what's going on. So it all started with like Sigmund Freud when he started doing his psychoanalysis and wanting to and discovering that subconscious level and how that's what controls most of our emotions and really who we are as people, not our conscious level of, oh yeah, I want to exercise. That's our conscious saying I want to exercise, right? Our subconscious is like, oh no, but I want to binge Netflix show this with a popcorn. I feel comfortable and safe like this, you know? That's our
Yeah.
subconscious. So he actually did some papers and started writing some books, and he has a nephew named what's his name? Edward Kenny? No, Edward Barnes. Sorry, Kenny's the other
Okay.
guy. Barnes. And he gets he shared this documents and book and he read them and he took that and he twisted it around for marketing. And the example that was shown, which is shared, is that before you bought things because you needed them. Oh, I need a bag of potatoes. I'm going to go buy a bag of potatoes. And then after he started using it, which is he started tapping into the desires, into the
Yeah.
emotions, which is what Sigmund Freud was going into the subconscious level. Because when we want to make a change, it's important that it's not for us just to verbalize it and think positive and like, yeah, I want to exercise every day, da da da. We attach our values to it, and we attach emotion to it. Okay, when we start creating the action. And then to help us out, just like, the Atomic Habits, James Clear, we create habit stacking as well. These are tools and things that can help us move forward. We will create, okay, so when I'm brushing my teeth, I'll do my affirmations,
Yeah.
something like that, so that I can think more positively. Or I'll talk to myself in the mirror about how I want my day to look, things
Yeah.
like that. Or when I'm making my coffee, I'm waiting for my coffee, I'm going to read my 10 pages that I wanted to read this morning. So I put, oh, okay, coffee, reading, right?
Yeah.
Things like that if you want to start reading more. So he went ahead and started using that urgency, that desire of no longer needing something, but wanting something, making it because we always want to belong as human beings. We want to belong, we want to be part of community, we want to be looked at as in a way that pride of like, oh yeah, look, they're looking at me because I'm awesome, I'm great, I'm doing so wonderful. It's like that, and also that envy. Yeah, exactly. You know that envy, like, oh, your neighbor's got this car, so you want this car. That thought process. He tapped
Yeah.
into that, into those desires of wanting what other people had, wanting what is exclusive. So it's the wording of like, you are special because you have this because nobody
Yeah.
else has this because we have a limited amount. So that whole, exclusivity. I only have 10 seats left. Be
Yeah.
one of the first ones to get in. So those are those wordings, those things, that psychology of wanting to get it first. And nobody else will ever have this car because there was only 10 made in the world. Then now you want it. So
Of
that's the type
course.
of psychology that goes into marketing. Obviously, they've talked about colors and everything, but that's not NLP. But so the NLP that they used was mostly the desire based, the emotion attached to it, the want of exclusivity, the limitation, the limited amount that makes you hurry, like that rush feeling and all these different things. So those are the kind of wordings
Yeah.
that they would put into it. And it's still used now, obviously, in
Yeah.
even with coaching. They you still can use it. And the thing is, it's being able to use it ethically. Because for me, I am a transformational coach, holistic nutrition coach. I'm looking for people who are ready and coachable for that transformation that they want. Let's say they've tried programs, they've tried reading the books, they've tried doing it on their own, and they just haven't gotten the results they want. But they're
Mm-hmm.
aware of, let's say, their problem. They're aware of
Yeah.
that goal they want that they haven't been able to get to. I want them to come to me if they're ready so that I could be there with them as an accountability person, as a mentor, creating more self-awareness, um, removing those limiting beliefs for themselves, something that may be holding them back, whether it's for nutrition, whether it's for a goal of starting their new business, whether it's more financial freedom, better relationships, better communication, whatever it is that's holding them back, that's not letting them get to that next level of where they know they want to be and can be. That's who
Yeah.
I'm looking for. So I would use NLP words that get the attention of the person who is ready.
Yes.
Now, other people, again, most of those advertisers will use it because they just want them to buy their product.
Yes.
For me, my end result, and for most coaches, at least the ones I've met and the ones I've even studied under or listened to, we want people to grow. We want people
Yeah.
to have a growth mindset, realize that their potential and not revert. And that doesn't mean that, oh, well, if that's the case, you coach that one person, they never come back. That's not true because their one goal is accomplished. The intention is that they don't come back for that same goal, or they don't come back because they were, they messed up or they were worse off or whatever it is. We want them to come back because they have something else they want. And they feel that they did so well with my coaching or whoever's coaching that they want that insight again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the intention for coaching and things like that. So that, and then I do use NLP in my program because the intention is for them to have specific wording for themselves and anchoring even. There's anchoring that, helps people get the emotion because I'm sure you've probably seen maybe like Tony Robbins or any of those really big coaches. There's a
Mm-hmm.
reason why they create that excitement in their public speaking, that yeah, because that vibrates and that energy in your body is creating that desire, that feeling of happiness. And when you're in a happy state, you're better focused, you have more positive thoughts, more ways of planning that can work for you. We know that, right? We know that if you're
Yeah,
in a more positive state, you're a bit happier. Something's going to happen. Obviously, nobody's life is perfect, but you're not going to see it as doom. Like, oh my
no,
gosh, my car, somebody just hit my car. It's the end of the world. It's a crappy day. My day is over. You're gonna be like, okay, I have insurance, good. It's gonna be frustrating, but whatever. Maybe I learned and not park it here, or whatever
yeah,
happened, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's allowing that experience to be that experience, and maybe if you have an opportunity to learn from it, and then move forward, not stay in it, like we talked about before, where you just stay in your hole. So, and that's what NLP does for you as well. It helps you create those different levels to grow into.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's kind of funny. I've done it again. I had some good thoughts and they've gone out of my head. I'm too busy
Oh,
listening.
I'm a talker. I'm a talker. Sorry. Maybe it'll come
Don't be
up. Well, I mean,
sorry.
was it NLP related? Was it transformational, limiting
Oh,
beliefs? You talked about that.
oh. We talked about a whole lot. Well, you talked about a whole lot. I listened to a whole lot, but that was
Yeah.
good. Um, what was I thinking? Oh God.
Was it
It's
holistic nutrition related or transformation related? Let's
oh,
go from there.
my brain is totally just spaced, but that's okay. It happens to me
Okay.
sometimes.
Well, you know what? If it comes back up out while you're thinking, then I'll share with you. Part of what I also work with in transformational coaching is I'm also trauma informed certified.
Mm-hmm.
I got certification through this organization that they deal with a lot of addiction. They themselves had an addiction issue, and they're openly sharing it. And I think that's actually what helps people more. So the person who's speaking to them or teaching them is sharing their personal experience so they can see firsthand their growth. And so I think
Yeah,
that's wonderful when people do that. And so these people, it was two partners. They went ahead and shared their personal experience with addiction. And so the trauma informed certification is about being able to be aware and give them the safe space to start healing. And I share my personal experience because that's actually what brought me to coaching, my own trauma. And
yeah.
I ended up writing a book about it, which is coming out
Ah,
April 10th. Yeah, that's my
ah.
first solo book. I've had collaborative books, but that's my first solo book. And it comes out April 10th, The Last Matriarch. It's about my loss in a year's worth of time because, you know, everybody takes their own time to heal. And I feel that sometimes a year isn't ever enough for that kind of loss. So that's just the year's time of healing and transformation and how I learned to grieve. Because what I realized is that we don't know how to grieve, or we don't even know how to help others when they're grieving.
Yeah, I think
It's an
grief is a tough
uncomfortable
one
conversation. Yeah,
because even the same person can grieve differently in different for different situations. So that it's not like there's one like follow the program. This is what's going to happen when you're grieving.
the steps. Yeah,
Yeah, there's things that are likely to come up, but
yeah.
they tend to come up out of order, not necessarily in any
Oh, of
particular
course.
time frame. So you might largely get over something really terrible that you're
Yeah.
grieving over in a really short amount of time, or it could take years. You, there's no right or wrong in it, which
Yeah,
makes it really
exactly. There
hard.
isn't. Which was weird because you always see the movies, you always see other people, and then you feel like maybe you're doing it wrong. At least that's how I felt. I'm like, am I
Mm-hmm.
doing this wrong? I looked up the steps. I thought it was a certain amount. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of steps. Where am I? And then I go back to anger or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, this is not working. So yeah, you could be somewhere and then all of a sudden just come tumbling down. But learning that that's very important. Learning that people grieve differently, but also that it's okay to ask for, like, when people don't know how to help someone else, it's okay to say, I need your support in this way.
yeah,
Because again, it's uncomfortable for other people not knowing how to give them the support. Because saying, oh, they went to a better place is not helpful. Not when someone is grieving. It
No.
isn't helpful at all. Or go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, in that sort of circumstance, it's it's about just being with the person. You don't have to say a damn thing.
But people feel the need to.
And but that's them.
Exactly.
It's more trying to see the person that you're there to support. And if they
Yeah.
need a chat, you're there for a chat. If they need silence, you can sit with them in silence. If they want to go and jump out of an aeroplane, well, maybe you don't have to do that depending on what you
With a
like, but
parachute,
you
yes.
know, well, yes, ideally with a parachute, that is the best way, as far as I know. But it's more like just finding whatever way you can be there
Be
for
there for
them.
them.
So
Yeah.
really taking yourself out of the equation. Don't let hear your hang-ups. You're going to have your hang-ups in your head. You're
Oh,
going to hear
yeah.
them, and it's just going, cool, this isn't about me. So if what you're doing isn't working for them, allow them to tell you, that kind of thing. That's how that works for me. It's like, just be there with them, listen to your voice, laugh at it maybe, because it's
Yeah.
probably telling you crap that's not real, and just just be there until they don't need you there anymore,
Yeah.
even
And
if it's
that
for
and that's not
short
easy for
minutes.
people because we have the tendency to want to help or fix people in a situation.
As a man, I object severely. I've never wanted
Never,
to fix
right?
anything in my
I
life.
know. I mean, and I'll speak to you from the Latino culture aspect.
Oh,
We all want to stick our 2 cents. And we all feel like this is going to help you. This is that. So they're all up in you, telling you what to do. And in Colombia, they're like what? I think like 90 something percent Catholic.
mm-hmm.
And I'm personally, I believe in God, a God source God. I'm not religious. I gave up Catholicism a while ago. But they want to stick this whole this is my experience with them. Oh, if it's God's will, he took her, it's time. If we pray, God's gonna save her before she passes away. All these different things that weren't helpful to me made me angry.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's not helping. But they also want to just sit there and interject, like I said, when they say, "Oh, they're in a better place." Another one that was bugging the crap out of me was, oh, well, at least she didn't die young. She lived her life. I'm like, I don't care. I still wanted her 20 more years. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So those are things that aren't helpful. But like you said, it's not that easy. So what I like to help my clients with is how you said, speaking up, creating that boundary, which is in the Latino culture is not a thing. I had to learn it watching movies. And no offense to anybody watching, but with white people, because they have a more sense an idea of boundaries than other cultures. In the Latino culture, there's no, I mean, I would watch sometimes movies where the daughter or mother is knocking on their door. And I was like, that's so weird. I mean, isn't it their kid or their mom? Why are they knocking on their door and they just come in? That's a boundary. That's respecting their space. And we're like, yeah, that doesn't happen. What do you mean? That's not a thing. So creating boundaries, even when you're trying to heal or when you're in trauma or suffering, and healthy boundaries or asking for what you need from that person is not always that easy for someone who has
Mm-hmm.
never known boundaries or known how to ask. The Latino women, we don't ask for any help. That's a thing I had to learn. They don't ask for help. So it's a different beast.
But in the Latino culture, if I'm reading it right, people are still trying to help, even if you're not asking for it. There's still community
Yes,
will
of
still come
course.
around you and try and help.
Oh
That
yeah, of course. They still try to go ahead and help, but they're just not doing it. They're not doing it. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's an alarm. Give me a second. Oh, my apologies.
oh, all good, no drama.
No, so yeah, the Latinos are still trying to help, especially the women, because as a whole, no matter what culture it is, they're always more emotionally in tune
Yeah,
because you're getting raised that way as opposed, not that men can't be, men can totally be. But again, I'm sure you've experienced, you're not trying to be taught to be more emotionally in tuned as growing up, right?
no.
They're trying to teach you to be the tough man, which doesn't need to be.
Well,
But
that's been a bit tricky in what I've seen of Western culture over the
Uh-huh.
last sort of 20, 30, 40 years. It's that has the boundary on that, to get back to boundaries, has moved a little bit. It's a bit fuzzy
It
now.
does, it has, which is great. Yes, it definitely has. I agree with you.
Yeah. But all of that gets me thinking about what's better, what's worse. And I don't think there's an answer to this, but
Mm-hmm.
so you live in two worlds effectively. You've got your Latino world and you've got your typical American world,
Yeah.
or the white people influence world, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Um, and they're very different in the fundamentals by the sounds of it. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
if I'm gathering it right, the Latino culture is definitely more about connection,
Mm-hmm.
like tight connection, and zero boundaries, almost.
And zero boundaries, yes, exactly. And well, and also and I know other cultures have this as well, but yeah, in the Latino world, what I do appreciate from that is that um even my like I still have my mom had a house in Colombia and she's been in that neighborhood forever before I think I was born, and she left us the property and things like that. And some people might have moved out, but everybody still knows each other there. Like everybody knows each other there. That's a great thing. The not so great thing is everybody knows each other there. So much so that there's gossip. It's like you can't so there's that boundary that they cross with knowing them for so long that it's just not respectful. Here,
Yeah,
you're in a neighborhood and you could live your whole life in the neighborhood and not know your neighbors.
yeah, and I see that as two extremes,
Yes.
which which I'm sure there's a middle space
Yeah.
where things would work a lot better, because I know from my culture, the way I was raised and the culture I was in, it was very much boundaries, definitely, but
Nice.
to the point where the connection between people has
Mm,
diminished. The
gotcha.
ability to really connect with somebody is more difficult. Whereas what you're describing, all right, there might be a lot of misplacedness and a lot of
Misplaced advice
misplaced
too.
advice, and you know, yeah, gossip that doesn't need to be said, and but
Yeah.
that's there's something to be said about gossip. People have done some studies on it, and gossip's meant to be this really good thing for, at least for smallish groups. It's actually meant to be good in theory. Um,
If practiced properly, exactly. Like I know
yes,
that it came around because of a certain, I mean, I believe it wasn't it something to do with almost just even communication within small towns or something like that, with how
I,
it would, share each other's situation of what's happening.
it's about that connection. So gossip is a great connection piece. Just to share something and people feel like they've had a secret, the bond becomes tighter. Something like that. I don't remember
Yeah. I mean, but
the
it's a
exact
very
study,
thin
but
line where it just
it
becomes
is.
nasty and things like that, and those lines always get crossed. But but yeah, so
Oh,
those are like two big differences and way out there, and yet finding the balance. And again, it's not necessarily that every single town here is, for instance, has no community.
no,
Just like in Colombia, there are probably certain areas that aren't as
more
close knit.
distant.
I mean, the cities I've been to and the towns that I've gone to, like where my cousins live or whatever, they all have the same thing. Here's another thing, because they all know each other, they have the sense to want to take out their speakers on a weekend that's 3-day weekend, because Colombia is one of the top 5 countries with the most holidays. We like to
Oh,
party.
Colombia, here I
Yeah.
come.
We like to party. So it's like every other week, it's like, oh yeah, Monday's a holiday. I'm like, why? Oh, I don't know. It's just we don't have to go to work Monday. So they have the tendency to want to take out their speakers and share the kind of music they like all day. All day, just like if everybody's going to be dancing while they're washing their dishes because they can hear their music. So that's kind of like that norm. Here, you have your music and people are calling the cops on you and it's 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock. And over there, it's 5 in the morning and you're still not sleeping because you're hearing the same thing over and over again. So, I mean, the cops can be called. They never really come. And when they come, it's like, So yeah.
Yeah,
So it's again
yeah.
those big dichotomies.
Well, if I can ask, where does that sit for you though? That place of boundaries.
Um,
Where's your happy medium in that space that works just for
for
you? Everyone's going to be
me,
different, but yeah,
yeah, for me, the happy medium is it's like I like that community, but I want to be I want to express and I want to be able to with everyone express that that's something that we kind of do now with our family, with our immediate family. It's like I want to share something with you, but I just want you to listen.
yeah,
That's all. So creating that boundary, I just want you to listen because I want to vent. Just let that go, right?
yeah. Never heard that
That's
before.
to me like a happy medium of boundaries where you're there, you're giving me the support that I'm asking for and so forth. Or you go in and say, I have a problem. I want your thoughts or your
Yeah,
opinion. You
yeah.
know, that's a happy boundary right there for me. And just kind of meeting in the middle. Like I'm I'm actually after, and funny enough, after my trauma, I reflected on, which a lot of us during loss do. We reflect, we kind of become a little more self-aware where we're at, what's going on. I figured out that I'm actually an HSP introvert so that made me understand how I process.
Okay, what does that mean? I get introvert. What's HSP?
A highly sensitive person. So
Ah,
for
okay.
me, and it could be one of these three things, but it could be all. For me, sounds affect me. Um, Emotions affect me, other people's emotions affect me, but also tactile. Like when I was a little kid, I never understood this. Like my mom would put me in stockings and all these pretty dresses, and I'd literally be on the floor scratching because I just didn't like the feeling of that dress on my body. And I didn't
Yeah,
know why. My mom didn't know why. She just thought I was being a pain in the butt, like all kids are, right? So that was part of that. Um, like just sometimes slamming doors or overstimulation of noise. It's too much. So a happy medium for me is being able to have my space, which is something that I think a lot of people should try to find when you need to take deep breaths and regulate your nervous system. I mean, just taking breaths regulates your nervous system, right? Taking deep breaths, having a little tea, and having your own space separate from everyone else, or letting people know, I'm going to be in the room, I need some quiet time.
yeah,
That allows you to come back to yourself and then be present with your family or with your roommate or with whoever you're with, partner, and be there. But having that space, even if you're an extrovert, you can still be an HSP and be an extrovert. But just having that time to yourself to unwind, to regulate yourself, to just feel or just read a book quietly. A lot of people sometimes I've noticed that a lot of people can handle a lot of noise. They drown it out. I can't drown it out because of that highly sensitivity. I can't
yeah.
drown out that noise. I may be working on something, but then I can hear the conversation outside. And then now I'm like, okay, I can hear that conversation. I'm gonna be like, can you tone it down a little bit? Because I can hear it. It's not like I'm trying to listen to it. That's just the way I'm
Just
programmed.
the way you're. Yeah, weirdly enough, my hearing's very different. In a noisy room, I don't hear everything. I hear nothing. It's just like blah, 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 blah. Like even
Uh-huh.
if I'm really listening in, I can't pick a single conversation out. So I have very my brain works very different from yours in that space. But
Yeah.
um, if I'm to sum up as what you're describing, your way of putting boundaries in for you that really works for you is you basically set the intention of the interaction.
Yes.
That's the best way I can think that pretty
Yeah,
well
that's
describes
that's
it.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, setting the intention and even before I was a coach, for me, something that's really, really important, and I tell the people in my life, I always tell them, for me, communication is very important
Mm-hmm.
because without communication, we don't have understanding. I don't get to know what your needs are, what you want, and vice versa if we don't communicate it. So I've always said it to family, to friends that I have. I'm like, communication is very important to me. So you communicate and communicating correctly because I actually got taught that if if I'm with a client and the client isn't understanding, I'm not communicating it correctly. I'm not
Yeah.
expressing it so they can understand it because again, how you said your brain is different from mine. We
Mm.
process differently. So for me to communicate with you, I have to make it to a point where you understand that communication because you process differently than I do, and vice versa, and everything else.
Yeah.
So, and I think we lack that. We lack knowing how to communicate with other people, and that's where the misunderstandings, the arguments, the division of I think all that it just creates chaos, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a certain level of understanding your thoughts where you go, oh, that person's had different experiences to me. That person doesn't see the world the way I see it.
Yeah.
Once you reach that point, what you're talking about becomes really easy because it becomes slow and methodical and not necessarily easy in the moment, but it's you can always check in to go, oh, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like you can feel
Yeah.
the person to see that there's that recognition there. But unless you get to that point mentally where you're like, oh, not just other people are capable, but everyone's totally different. We're very much the same, but in amazingly small ways, we're totally different, and that impacts our communication. It impacts our relationships in untold
Yeah.
variations.
Of course, for
But
definitely it's and what we don't really and again I go back to education because we don't realize how our brain works in regards to how we process our environment,
mm,
ourselves, and other people. We have filters. Obviously, it's like this. It happens like this, but we have filters, and those filters have to do with how we were raised, the environment, how what our families told us. Oh, money doesn't grow on trees, all these different things before we make a decision, which again, it's like instant, but it's going through all these filters that you have personally because you grew up a certain way. I grew up a different way, all these different things before that decision comes out or before the reaction or the action you take to somebody who said something to you or something that happened.
yeah,
So once you know those filters, once you know, okay, well, I'm reacting this way, or oh, I'm choosing this person because, 10 years ago I had a bad experience with a guy and now I'm continuing to do this. All these different filters that come up that we are unaware of that help us, that guide us to the decision, and we haven't changed them.
yeah, and that's where your NLP comes in. I do something similar. I do a process called Psyche, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's those filters that you talk about are our beliefs. Our beliefs, our values.
And beliefs, values, morals. And a lot of those beliefs and values and morals may not necessarily be what you really believe or value or are morally tied to because they got taught to you.
Yes,
And again, as little kids, as little babies, we see our family and we want to belong and like, oh, everybody's going on and not consciously, obviously, but we want to attach ourselves. We want to, and as little, and then we get older, we start hearing, we start, the kids emulate their parents because they want to belong. Oh, my parents, we see them as like perfect and we want to do what they do. So that's why it's so important as a parent, I think, to show the kids who you want them to be by showing them who you are in the way behave the way you want them to learn to behave because they're going to do what you do, not what you say.
yeah, I like that second bit. I was going to have a have something to say when you said make them like show them who you want them to be, but then you
Yeah,
kind of use some different
brought it
words.
into the yeah, that's exactly
And
how it should be.
yeah,
It's
for me
hard, but
it's about my idea of parenthood is about showing kids, giving kids the tools that they're going to need
yeah,
to play in this wonderful game of life with some success.
exactly.
And to do that, yeah, you need to show them how to use their emotions, how to
Use the
use their
tools
minds,
yourself so
their
they know how they work. Yeah,
exactly, yeah, and
I
explain
agree.
as you go, so that they
Mm-hmm.
can like if you do something that's not ideal as a parent, which is going to happen, then
You own
you
up
can
to
go,
it too.
yeah, you own up to
Own
it, and
up
you
to
go,
it.
cool, I
I
did it
made a
because of this,
mistake.
this, and this, and then they see what's real, not because kind of like we were talking about. I don't know if this bit was recorded, but with politicians, when they're saying one thing and doing something else entirely,
Uh-huh.
uh, there's no point listening to this because
Yeah,
the action is where it's all at. That's what's really happening. The rest of it is
exactly. And
just.
that's also a big thing of mine too. I'm an action-based person. I always tell people around me, I don't want you to tell me you're sorry. I want you to be conscious and not do it again,
Mhm.
right? The idea is to learn from that mistake and not do it again.
Ooh, that gives me a good question. What if it's? I'm all for it. What if the person who's done something, it's kind of like this mental habit, mental addiction, and they're trying to break it, but they do fall down again and do it again. Like
Well,
let's say it's a
what
partner.
I mean by the I'm sorry, it's like when they do something to you,
Hmm.
the addiction or the habit, those are things that they have to work on. See, the only thing I say is let's not do it again is because I don't want to use the word try. I've learned
Yes.
that I've learned that try is just a bad word that just keeps you there in the try. So it's
Yeah.
doing it. So the idea is if you have a habit that you want to let go of, or if you have an addiction and you're ready, because on both occasions, whether it's a habit that you want to let go of or an addiction that you want to release as well, you have to be ready.
Yes.
You have to have that commitment already where some people, we all work different. Some people have to be completely on the floor to be like, I have to pick myself up now. Others don't have to get there to want to get back up. So anything that you do, whether it's you're going to get into coaching, whether you're going to work on your own, whether you're going to go to therapy or a counselor or a relationship, everything that you do is you're going to need energy. You're going to have to do, I don't like to do it, say the word because people get upset about it or like it's overwhelming to think of
Say
work.
it.
Say
Oh
work,
no! What have you done?
work.
What have you done?
And it's going to be that no matter what. Even if you're someone who believes in the law of attraction, affirmations, that's just one small level of everything you have to do to get there. Because you can create in life more when you have a positive and attitude, as opposed to someone who starts from a negative or pessimistic attitude. You're not gonna get very far. Always having that negative, always seeing the worst in the situation instead of the best in the situation. So that whole affirmations and law of attraction is just one tiny step. And it's a
Yeah.
mindset shift. Not, but you have to take action. There's nothing you can't create just out of thin air in the world that we live in the world that we've created here.
Yes.
Now, it can, once you're at a certain level, I've seen people manifest amazingly. Like they have to barely do anything because they're vibrating, their energy is such at a level that they believe in themselves, they believe in what they're going to create. And it's about belief in yourself and what you want and then taking action. And when you're at the flow, it's happened to me before. We can get back in that wagon, fall off, get back in it. And it's about being at a level where the manifestation isn't difficult. It's difficult
Yes.
now because we're getting ourselves out of that rut, out of the way of thinking that I grew up with the whole money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work really hard for your money. Sometimes I more like, money is bad. I had to rewrite my story, rewrite my thoughts from
Yeah.
that. That no, it's okay for me to want money and it's okay for me to want to be well off or
Yeah.
wealthy or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Because
No.
what we see is that they've attached that money is not bad. Money doesn't do anything to you. It's literally just energy, a piece of paper. And actually, in the US, it doesn't mean anything because it's not even backed by gold. So it's just a piece of paper. I had to bring that up. I had to bring that up.
I
But
see money as an amplifier. It
yes,
simply amplifies whatever you are at that
yes,
moment. If you
yes,
have no money, it's going to amplify that lack, that fear that you don't have enough money. And if you've
exactly.
got stupid amounts of money, then it's going to allow you to be everything you choose to be, whether that is this amazing humanitarian who goes and helps everybody, uh,
Or the opposite.
or the opposite, or something in between. Somebody who's just,
Yeah,
I'm
or
just going
something
to
in
chill with my
between.
family and
Yeah.
have a great time. Whatever.
Yeah.
It just allows more of that to be seen.
Yeah.
So,
And what I noticed, at least within my culture, was that the reason why they associated money with bad is because of the people who had it. Now, and like you said with the amplification, when you have money, you don't become the a-hole. You were already that. You just now have
yeah,
money.
yeah. I
So
think,
that's not going to change you in that way because it says a lot about, you always hear about those people who win lottery ticket like millions in lotteries and then like a year later they're broke.
yeah.
They clearly had no financial thought or any kind of economics or any kind of like that's just who they were. Oh, I'm gonna like they think it's gonna last forever without doing anything. So
This, I can't remember who said it. There's this amazing quote. I might not get the words quite right,
okay.
but we don't rise to the level of our dreams. We fall to the level of our beliefs.
Oh, nice. I like that.
So
I don't
yeah,
know.
if
I
we,
that it sounds a little familiar, but I'm not 100% sure where I
yeah,
heard it.
it might not be the exact
Something
words, but
like
that's the
that.
sentiment behind it. And yeah, for those people that win the lottery, if their beliefs haven't caught up with their reality, they're going to pull themselves back down to that belief real fast.
Yeah. And
And
it's that
that's,
desire to not be lacking, so they buy everything. So they've
yeah,
never had because they've always lived in lack. It's like, oh, now I can buy everything. And they do.
until
There's
they're
no
back in
need.
lack.
Yeah, and then it puts them back in lack. So, but yeah, and that again ties into how we're taught to look at money, how we're taught to look at finance, economics. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people in lack, and you hear the stories of people who had literally nothing and went to college, got themselves something. I always like to quote from one of those movies that you watch, they're the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
You can't go by that one person that, oh yeah, but they still worked for it. Like
Oh, absolutely.
all those personalities and celebrities and all these people who they're like, oh my gosh, they just blew up. They didn't just blow up. They have been working to get there. You just didn't see that work because you weren't there until they blew up to like, yeah, I'm here. And that's what it is. That's what coaching is. You're gonna have to do those little steps that work until you blow up where you want to be, where you get
Yeah,
that goal, where you get that financial freedom, where you are healthy in boundaries, where you have a healthier lifestyle because you feel good, your gut feels good, you're working out, you've got a balance, all those different things. You're gonna get there, it's gonna blow up, but that work, you're gonna have to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only exception I can think of to that rule is the Hucktua girl for about a year or so. Do you know who that is?
No.
She was on
The
social
hot to
media.
girl, no.
She got stopped at an interview for 5 seconds and became this huge thing.
Wow.
So she didn't have to do any work at all. But
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a whole different beast, but yes, really beautiful people may not have to always do the work. And again, it's society standard of beauty. And what we see as that's gorgeous, beautiful, whatever, and they still have their own issues to deal with, but beauty
oh
or attention isn't one of them.
no, it doesn't. I think that's the big thing to know that it doesn't matter what whose life you look at, anybody's. Everybody's got problems. Everybody
Everybody's
has
got their issue. Yeah.
issues in their life, and money will help solve some issues. Beauty, intelligence, courage, um, like hard work will solve other issues. They're all different.
Yeah, no, money is only going to give you maybe peace of mind, stress free, but it's never going to solve anything internal. All your
No,
emotional, all your trauma, all your other things, that's not going to be solved
not at
by
all.
money. The only
But
thing
sometimes
might
it's made
solve is maybe
worse.
that financial freedom you want. But if you don't know how to manage that money, you're not going to have financial freedom for long.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, if you focus just on one outcome, well, money's an easy one to pick on, but it could be any of them.
Yeah,
you're probably not nurturing other parts of you. And so
exactly.
you can have this thing that looks like success, but you feel hollow inside because success isn't out there.
Yep.
Success, to me anyway, success is found in being on the journey of working on whatever it is I'm working on at the moment. Whether I'm working on sitting on a beach or whether I'm working on creating a story or helping a client or whatever it is, if I'm in that moment, I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
But if I try and reach for something outside, that's when it starts to feel hollow. I don't know. You might feel a little different about
Well,
that,
you
but
know, I get what you're saying, and funny enough that you mentioned that you like the journey. I was actually thinking of that quote as you said it, and I kind of I want to say I disagree with it a little bit, where they say life is a journey, not a destination. I'm here questioning, well, why can't it be both?
yeah,
Why can't you enjoy that journey towards your destination that you wanted to go to anyways? Because a lot of people is like they're very goal oriented. Oh, I have to get there, I have to get there, and they don't enjoy the process. They don't learn from their process or grow from their process. They just want to get there and do it, and then here's the other goal, and then here's the other goal. And as well, you know, enjoying too much of the process and then eventually never finishing to get the goal. So I feel like you can do both. You can enjoy that journey. You can enjoy the process of getting to where you're going to get to. And the goal is also like, yes, I got that too.
yeah.
I
I,
don't feel like it
I,
has to be
I
an either or.
no, I like where you're going. I guess with my analogy, when I think of this kind of stuff, I'm thinking of climbing a mountain, and there's a path on the mountain, and
Yeah.
there's no point me. There's no joy, no long-term joy, in
Yeah.
somebody just picking me up on a helicopter, putting me on top of the mountain. All right, it's going to be a fun ride, but there's no achievement in it. And the achievement has something internal that is
And there's no
really
growth for
fulfilling.
you. There's no
Yeah,
growth for you.
yeah. Walking the path, or dare I say, running the path, even
Yeah.
has that to it. And if I run the path and I'm going towards my goal, I'm going towards that destination. But let's say I don't quite make it, I'm still satisfied. I might come back and try again next year because you
Mm.
need that thing to aim for, that dream. The dreams are important.
Of
But if
course.
you don't quite make your dream, it's still good. Like I get what you're saying. I think I'm
Uh-huh.
probably slightly more to the journey side than
Mhm.
you're probably a bit more in the middle. But I fully, yeah,
Well, here's something you brought up that's very interesting is if I don't make it, I'm still proud of myself and then I can go again next year. That's very important if you think about it. The fact that you're not giving up. You
mm,
went as far as you felt you can go that day. You know your limits. You come back. Continue to go towards it. You don't just give up because we already know the giving up is that's the failure. Not the
yeah,
I tried this, it didn't work. It's let's do something else and see if that works. Or let's continue and with especially for instance with workout. A lot of people want again instant gratification. Oh, I've been working out for 2 weeks and I haven't really seen results. I'm just gonna stop. Try it differently. Try it, maybe this type of workout isn't for you. You need to do something different. And it's about getting to where you feel comfortable, where you feel good. It's not about the magazines which still happens, about all the images that people are putting out there. It's about how you're going to feel good and how you're going to feel safe and healthy. So it's continuing to do even if you failed the first time or the second or the 10th time. The
yeah. I
failure
think
is when you stop.
I have a feeling part of that is about how we measure it. Because when you're talking about the gym and like comparing yourself effectively to whatever the um, modern stereotype for healthy is, or
Yeah.
whatever goal weight you're meant to have, or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
I think half the time we're just measuring the wrong thing, and it's for something like that, especially. It's how much energy do I have in a day is probably my biggest sense of if I feel fit. rather than how do I look, or do I fit into these pants, or how much do I weigh today, what's my body mass index
Index,
thing,
yeah.
any of that crap. If I feel alive and energized, I'm probably fit. If I'm doing it consistently,
Yeah.
I'm fit. So if I measure that, if I like check in on that and like, yeah, I've got heaps of energy today, I feel really good and I'm like ready to do whatever,
But do
great.
we have that energy consistently? That's also
That,
then the question. Is
yes,
it daily now, or is it just you had a good boost of energy today? The point is
yeah,
to have it consistently. For me, I think about like, well, can I open my jar? Can I open my jar of jelly? Am I not strong enough? Yeah, I've got. I feel like I need to open it, so I don't need to ask somebody for my to open it up for me. But no, it's that consistent energy, and that's the idea. How is my stomach feeling? How's my second brain? My gut? Is it? Am I? Is it good? Is it healthy? Am I feeling? So yeah, part of the holistic path on that for nutrition is learning to feel your body, learning to
yep.
understand it and learning to hear it. It's talking to you when it needs something or when you're giving it something that you shouldn't.
Do you find most of your clients don't really know how to do it regularly or easily?
Yes. And part of that I feel that it may be because here's something that I've learned throughout my years as well is that we do not know how to time manage very well as a whole, like as a whole of human beings. We don't really know how to time manage very well because we either over or under calculate how long something's going to take us. So the idea that we have to think of something else is also stressful because we've already got so much on our plate. But I usually, when it comes to this, when clients will tell me they have no time, I I have them write out a week's worth of how they spend their day. Even when it comes to how long do you spend making coffee? How long do you spend in the shower, getting ready? What's your drive? All these different things on a daily basis so they can see how they're literally spending their time. Even if it's
Yeah,
cooking, I'm sitting down for myself in the backyard with a little tea and my dog, whatever. All of that gets put in. Because sometimes they look at how they spend their week and they're like, "Oh, wow. I didn't realize I was doing all these things that I didn't have to do that use up
yeah,
my time,
yeah,
right?" And sometimes it's where can I cut time that isn't necessarily needed? Like I have a family member who takes an hour and a half to get ready for work.
wow.
Maybe an hour, hour and a half sometimes. Yeah. That's a lot of time when you're trying to look for time management. So for you
Wow.
to be able to have the moment to sit down, let's say, oh, I don't have time to sit down and take a tea, relax. Well, now you do. Sit down, take the tea, relax, and feel your body. How is it feeling right now? What is it asking you for? What does it need? How is your energy level? Right? Because I personally don't, I'm vegan. I've been vegan for about 10 years and then was vegetarian for 7. I don't promote it as you need to do it. That's not my thing. But my family's always super shocked that I don't drink. I don't drink coffee. I don't take energy drinks, but I have a good, healthy energy daily.
Yep.
And they're like, how do you do it? I'm like, I mean, the most I do take is like maybe some chai. I like some chai tea, which has a tiny bit of
Mm,
caffeine. But I like chai or, things like that. I'll mix it up with some uh, chicory. I love chicory. So,
yeah.
things like that. Yeah, I'm a big tea
Okay.
drinker, so I do love tea. But so you have to look at your energy level. Like again, if it's like when I'm feeling kind of droopy, because it happens, I'm not like I don't have energy every 365 days of the year. But when I'm feeling droopy, I start scanning. I'm like, okay, why am I feeling droopy? Why am I feeling tired? Is it an emotional thing? Am I getting sick like I am right now? Is a little puppy? So I look at that. I feel it out. I recognize where, and sometimes I work sitting down a lot. And I try to keep active and as much as I can, but sometimes if I'm on deadlines or other things I have to do, I'm sitting down too much. I start feeling my body like, oh, I'm gonna do some stretching and some other extra things to make sure that I give good stimulation and good muscle stretch for these areas so that I'm not feeling like this because I've been sedentary too much, right? So those are
Yeah,
things that I go ahead and process and do to keep myself always at my best energy level that I can have.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's, I would say that's probably one of the things. Would a lot of people come to you with energy issues?
Yeah, and they do. They do. We don't realize this, but a lot of us have inflammation
Hmm.
because of all the food we eat, especially in the States. Obviously, that's where I work with a lot of my clients, but I've had clients from like New Zealand, Canada, things like that. But we have a lot of inflammation. We don't notice it because we don't have any kind of chronic illness for the most part, for those who don't notice, right?
Yeah,
Most of our illnesses, as we know, comes from inflammation, which comes from stress and anxiety and overwhelm and all these things that develop, right?
yeah,
And also now with the food we eat. There's a lot of food that causes inflammation, which can cause all this fatigue, all these issues, all this mood issues that you just, like, oh, I don't feel like it. It's like brain fog, right? So yeah, they do come with a lot of low energy and they're aware of their issue. They're aware. It's like, yeah, I know I don't eat the healthiest, right? I'm not, I do a lot of takeout. And, a lot of the restaurant food is yummy for a lot of people because it's got so much other stuff in it that it shouldn't have,
yeah,
Not all of us, including myself, can go sit there and eat at five-star restaurants every day or Michelin star restaurants, right? Which still is eating out, but they have a healthier standard. Like, oh, this is more whole, but
yeah.
it still could be, who knows what oil they're using. The issues are the oils they use, the repetitive use of those oils.
Yes.
In restaurant, even in restaurants, not just fast food, they're re-dipping the oil and refrying it and reheating it and creating more carcinogenic stuff to it and other
Yeah,
inflammatory things.
I get you.
So, yeah. So yeah, and it's breaking that habit. Oh, I don't like cooking. Well, do you want to maybe what options do they have? Do you want to, there's a lot of options where they give you the bring home, like order food weekly where it's
Yeah,
pre-made, healthier, you just heat it up. If that's a financial choice you have, if you have that, or meal prep. You don't like cooking? Cook twice a week and it lasts you 3 days or so, and then maybe do one takeout or going out to eat or twice
yeah,
instead of every day. It's about not taking away the fact that they like takeout or they like eating out. It's balancing it out. That's meal prep. Because I love meal prep. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want a Belgian waffle tomorrow morning. I meal prep that sucker the night before. All I got to do is like, bam, you're done. Here's my blueberries, here's my whatever. And it's easy. Yeah, boom. Right? So meal prepping, especially when you get groceries, chopping up certain, because like I know with me, if I get a big old watermelon and I don't chop it up right away when it's done, it's gonna sit there. So I'll
yeah.
chop it up so that, oh, watermelon, ooh, and you take it out the fridge already cut up and ready to eat. So when you
Totally get
have that
that.
energy to do it so that things become easier for you. What you want to try and do is, and our brain works that way. It wants to give you that comfort, that safety, and what's easier for you. It doesn't want you to have to work. So it's
Hmm.
protecting you. It's doing its job. You, as someone who is conscious and aware of yourself, need to create that for yourself and how you want it. So make it easy for yourself too. We don't want to make it harder. Do the meal prep when you have the energy. Create the meal plan. Like I help people create the meal plans that works for them. I give them like a week's worth of meal plan for them to test out, see how their body feels, see how they like it, see how it feels to
Yep.
to make it. And then after that, they start creating their own. Because I'm not a nutritionist where I create your meal plan for you. I'm giving you the tools and I give you a week's worth so you can try it out so that you can start creating your meal plans because the whole point is for you to be independent, right? Do it for
Yeah, I love
yourself.
that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to do it for you, but I'm going to give you the tools and help you out and give you the accountability, the discipline. I'm going to make sure you celebrate your wins, things like that that keeps you moving forward.
I think that's what a lot of people need because once they have, it's like learning any new skill. If you haven't learnt the skill before, or if you're not practiced at it, it's tricky to feel like you can master it like that. And
Yeah.
somebody that can support you and kick your butt when you need to have it kicked and give you a rah rah when you need a rah rah
Yeah,
is exactly what people need to
exactly.
just get over the hump. Because, I mean, in theory, there's nothing particularly difficult about organising a meal plan. Sit down for long enough, a little bit of research. What do I
Yeah.
like? What don't I like? And you can work that out. But if you haven't done it before, it can be pretty daunting for a lot of people, I would think.
Yeah. And where do you start? Oh, well, this people say this, these people say that. So it can become overwhelming. And the time management, if you don't have proper time management, you're going to feel like, oh, I don't have time for this. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have time to do this or do that or do this. So yeah, all of that can be too much. I mean, even now, for instance, just an example, like the accountability. I have an accountability partner for myself. We meet
Mm-hmm.
every week on the phone and we discuss all these different things that we want to go ahead and create for our week. And we've been doing this for 2 years. And I encourage my clients to have that, whether it's with their partner, with a roommate, with a friend. And if it's like, oh, for exercise, for financial savings, or for, career, or for any goal they have, I encourage them to continue an accountability partner, someone who can be there for you and vice versa, who want the same thing. And the
Yeah.
best thing is not to just get someone who's like, okay, yeah, I'm encouraged. It's better to find someone who wants the same thing. Yeah, I want to lose some weight with you, or I want to have a little bit more of an exercise routine, because that way they have something to gain as well. And it's not just them encouraging you. It's a
Yeah.
mutual balanced, c- partnership.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people's accountability partner will be different because it depends what you're after. Some people will
Yeah.
want someone that really holds them to account. Bit of tough
Yes.
love. And some
Yeah.
people won't be able to handle the tough love, even if they probably need it.
Right. It's very true. Very true. Yeah, it all depends on the type of encouragement the person needs. I mean, funny enough, it's not a high percentage, but there are some people who um, feel encouraged with like negative encouragement, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, instead of
Yeah.
like thinking, yes, we're getting there, you'll be like, if you fail, you're gonna be this, like this is where you want, do you want to end up here? That kind of like negative feedback.
Yeah.
Again, it's not very many people, but in general, there's people out there like that who will need that negative feedback in order to feel encouraged to move forward. And
Yeah. I
so you
think
look for what works.
going back to what you said before, like some people will only get up off the floor when they're basically totally out. And that would be
Yeah.
that sort of person that they need that fear to push them.
Yeah, the
Some
fear,
people,
that encouragement fear, yeah.
yeah, whereas other people will be drawn to follow the love, the dream, the hope, and it's
Yeah.
for me they're two sides of the same coin. They just feel very, very, very different.
Right? Very true, very true. Because I've had, and you hear it, and here's the thing. Going back to NLP and how people will promote, and you see, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but some of the videos that might be out there on social media encouraging you to get that program, get this package, get this, buy our stuff, is fear-based.
Yeah,
If you don't have it, this is what's going to happen. So that kind of stuff is also being used. I personally don't like using fear-based in any of those things. That that happens as well. They go ahead and use that, and that's part of like, I mean, I don't want to, I'm not obviously naming names or anything, but like kind of a little bit of a manipulative style, which is what
oh,
can happen. Yeah.
totally. And you could you could justify it by saying I'm advertising to where people are, not where they need to be. It's one
Yeah,
of
but you
those.
can be advertising to where they are without using fear-based words.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I'm
so yeah,
just
and that's again, that's a manipulative statement for them. I'm
yes,
just advertising to where they are. Yeah, same thing. So, it's all good. But again, at the end of the day, whatever, if the person who bought it is getting results for whatever they purchased, whether it is a
And that's
training or a
great.
program and they're happy, who am I to say that their tactics are worse or not? I mean, you know? So yeah, if
Yeah,
somebody got their stuff and they're giving them results for whatever it is, excuse me, for whatever it is they're doing, then,
yeah. I think it's just it highlights your personal preference, mine as well. I don't enjoy
exactly.
being manipulated at that level.
I
Don't
don't
enjoy it
either.
at
Yeah.
all.
No.
And it's
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Like the you're getting it because most of us, as we see by society, live in a lot of lack mentality.
yes,
So they play on that. And so that's, that you're playing on where we're at, which is a lot of us being in lack mentality. And I prefer a more positive approach to it myself.
yeah. I find well, this is going to be a weird question in that what we're talking about there. I also find so I'm repelled by the people that are very lack and like when they advertise in that sort of way in whatever field it
Yeah.
is. It doesn't. I don't enjoy it. I also don't buy when it's all totally positive and
I see what
happy
you're saying.
and
Yeah, yeah.
all that.
They're
I
sugarcoating it.
yeah, it's like, come on, I know that nothing in life, no matter how good it is, like no matter how good my journey to the mountain is, there's going to be a moment where I stumble and trip up and
Yeah.
whatever. It's not going to be perfect. I think that's where authenticity comes in. I
It's
don't
like
know
being a
how you would
realist, pretty
mandate that.
much. Yeah, being
Yeah,
a realist. It's like I do the same thing. Like when I'm looking into a product I want to buy or a service I want to get or anything like that, I don't look at the positive reviews. I look at the negative reviews
yeah,
because I already know that positive reviews can get bought by anybody, even on Amazon. Although I don't shop at Amazon, but either way. But I also know, and then I'm also trying to put things into perspective with the negative reviews because sometimes a negative review will be like, "Oh my gosh, the receptionist was so rude and blah blah blah." Like, well, that doesn't tell me anything about their service. He or she had a bad day, whatever.
yeah,
That doesn't sway me not to go into that place because they had a bad moment with the receptionist or the admin person in the front. But I'll look at the negative ones, not the positive ones. Anything that's even maybe like 3 stars and below. Because even
yeah,
4 stars are usually like, oh yeah, I liked it. It's not a full 5 star, but so I'll do that. So I get that perspective of yours where it's like, yeah, if they're selling me like, oh my gosh, everything's so happy-go-lucky. Really? Is it really? That's no such thing. I think that a happy medium, I'm always looking for that balance. So that's, I guess, where I come from as well. I'm
yeah.
looking for that balance in life because again, you're never gonna, if you're someone who's happy, that doesn't mean your life is happy 24/7,
No,
right? And just like if you're someone who's more pessimistic, doesn't mean nothing good is happening to you. Like you just taking all the bad stuff and piling them up into this big garbage negativity, you know? There's positive things that can happen. So it's finding
yeah,
that balance
yeah.
for
Well, I
sure.
mean, I was depressed for a long time, so I can definitely speak to the last one. Years of depression. I certainly laughed during those years. I had absolutely happy moments,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was mostly negative because I allowed it to
Yeah.
be. But yeah,
Yeah.
one does not exclude the other. It's not.
No,
It's
exactly. But at the same time, obviously, in a situation with depression, it's a little bit more difficult to look at those happy moments
oh
because
yeah,
it's a whole, emotional, mental, and body, like your whole body feels it, that I had, I've never really suffered from depression overall in my life, but I did have depression after my mom passed away.
yeah,
And for me, it was not being able to get up from bed, crying all day, and then your body feels it, your body feels weak. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And having a good support system, having a good routine, once you're able to get out of where you're at, because obviously it's first being able to get out of where you're at, getting the help and everybody's different because not everybody can get out of that situation the same way, right? For everybody, their depression is different and it's for different reasons. I mean, there's people who have had suffered from depression since they were children,
yeah,
and others as adults, they ended up having depression, or just, so everybody's different in that respect. But funny enough, there was oh my gosh, I want to see if I remember. I think there was an article that was written about kids that suffered from depression, like teenagers, and I think it was done in Japan. Um, but there was something that they did with those kids. They had like kids that it was, I think, 9,000 of them, I think they did, or something like that, or was
Okay,
it?
big
It was
study.
a large amount, and half of them or part of them were um, suffered from depression. That's part of, and then other ones were just regular kids. And God, what I want to remember what it is. If not, it's gonna suck that I'm bringing it up and not finishing. It had to do with, it might have had to do with some kind of a positive input or they gave them tools and exercises that taught them about why their depression may come up, or the tools that they can use to help themselves get out of it or get out of a negative situation, sort of like a rut or whatever.
Hmm.
And and then they were also highly sensitive kids.
Yeah,
And they noticed that those kids who were highly sensitive and also suffer from depression, but they got the information of like positive feedback, positive information, and tools and exercises that they can use in their life to help them through difficult times, were less likely to get back into depression and actually ended up being more positive. Because
okay.
highly sensitive is also being able to be more empathetic towards someone else and understanding. And, not that other people don't have empathy, like I said, but empathy is something that's learned. You don't
Yes.
naturally, so um it was like all the kids were like, I think they had, again, a group had depression, some of them were normal and were not highly sensitive, the other ones were. And they gave them some tools and exercises, and they were able to get out of it because they were also more empathetic in general.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then they followed up like a year later with them, and they were able to cope better with any onset that would come on or anything, and cope better and grow throughout their life in a healthier way, which was actually pretty interesting. I just recently had read a book about HSP. It's like, oh, could think of it like a superpower instead. Because, sometimes some people will be like, why are you so sensitive? Like, why does everything bother you? Things like that. So you grow up always hearing that.
Yeah.
Or why are you so weird? That was a big one for me. Why are you so weird? I'm like, all right,
Oh, that would have
whatever.
brought joy to your heart, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like you grow up to be that weird child, and you create that perspective. Like, that's just how I am. We talked about, oh, that's who you become. But learning about myself, learning really who I am and how I think and process, helped me understand myself and how I see the world, and what I want to shift. So that, I
Yeah.
think that's always very important, to learn to understand who you are, and what values you hold and all that, despite what you got taught. If you really truly believe those values, then by all means continue. But if that's not really what you think or feel, then it's something that was programmed. And again, I always look at it as, for the most part, I think parents do the best they can, and they instill their values because that's what they know, right?
Yeah.
That they're not going to tell you, oh, well, as a little kid, well, what do you find valuable? They're not going to do that. They're going to instill their values on you. That when you get older and become aware, are those values that I want to keep, especially
Oh,
cultural or traditional ones, you know?
yeah. I mean, I can say from a parental point of view, I certainly tried to do the best I could with my kids. I
Yeah.
even told them there's things I'm going to do to you that haven't even been done on purpose that are going to screw you up.
Yeah.
It's just how
Yeah.
it works. It's how the system works.
Yeah.
But also as an individual, like I'm still learning about myself now. My kids are in their 20s,
Yeah.
so like I'm still learning about myself and I'm still growing, but I still feel like a kid half the time. So
I
adults are
get you.
just big kids, and we understand ourselves a bit better, and hopefully we've sorted a few things out. But we're just a representation of our parents and the community grew up in, who are a representation of their parents and the community they grew up in, and down the line it goes. So it's only when we
Yeah.
consciously choose, like you were saying, when we consciously go, is that what I really believe? Is that what I really choose? And then we can reframe it with the NLP or whatever other modality or mechanism works
Yeah.
for people. But it needs the conscious choice. You need to kind of sit with it and just really go, is this working for me? Is this what I really think? And
Yes,
I
exactly.
think that opens up amazing doors for people to really feel like they can take masks off, because we're all wearing masks to a certain extent.
Of course, we
But
never
the
show our
more,
true selves to everyone. I mean, I don't think that all of us really know our true selves all the time to even show it. But yeah, we all wear masks. Like you have a professional setting, and there's nothing wrong. I don't feel that there's anything wrong with wearing them to a certain extent because, like I said, mentioned just earlier, we wear our professional masks. You behave a certain way in a professional setting, in an
mm,
office, in an interview, in a networking event for your business or anything like that. You present yourself up, you present a part of yourself to them. You
yeah,
don't present the one that's going to come home, have a few beers with your buddies, and play video games, if that's how, what you like to do with your friends, right? You
yeah,
don't present that side to them. So you're sharing parts of you depending on who you're with. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What I find then where's that limit or that boundary is that when you're trying to create a fakeness
yeah,
of you
yeah,
to have people perceive you a certain way instead of a part of you, then you're just now hiding yourself and making people feel like they know you when they don't. That to me is where the issue comes in. But I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing those pieces or those masks of you, depending on where you're at.
yeah. I look at that as, when it's being done healthily, it's like we're this gemstone that's being cut with a multitude of facets. And in a certain environment, one of those facets is the one that's facing the environment, and that's the part of you that shines out in that mode. It's when we put a covering over that facet to try and change the look of it. That's when we wear a mask that isn't truly us. So it's not a part of us that's coming out. It's what we hope people will see us as. As soon as we do that, that's when you're going into dangerous territory. It's really common. It
Okay.
happened for me all my young life, and a lot of my family members would be pretty similar. It's just that people pleasing thing that just comes out. It's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
survival chameleon that pops up, and you're like,
Yeah,
how do I get myself to be liked and nurtured in this environment? Who do I have to be? So it's like you're looking
it
out
happens a lot.
instead of
Yeah.
coming from within.
Yeah, and you touched on a big one that a lot of my clients have issues with is people pleasing. And that is a one of the reasons why, yeah, people don't show who they really are because they feel that if they do, they won't be liked. And we have a tendency to think too much about what other people think. And
Yeah,
that starts creating that fakeness and the people pleasing. Um, there's different reasons too why we might want to do people pleasing, and it's attached to an emotion, a trauma, something that happened. And again, I bring up trauma, but it doesn't have to be something big.
no,
There's actually, what's called little t traumas, and those are things where you're maybe being neglected, maybe or ignored, or maybe just told too much that you're trouble. Why do you always get into trouble? Why are you such a troublemaker? Little things like that can actually start creating a trauma and changing your personality. And so then, oh, I'm such a troublemaker. I'm going to pretend to be this. And so maybe that rambunctious personality as a kid when you're 5 and 7, being wild and expressive and creative no longer is there. And as an
yeah,
adult, you're very quiet and you're a people pleaser and you're like, oh, yes, yes, I agree with you. And that came from you being told that you were just such a troublemaker, but really you were just had good high energy and creative. And the adults around you just didn't know how to handle that or how to label it properly because we have to label everything, of course, you know us as human beings. So they created
It's a
this very
beautiful saying.
quiet, people-pleasing, maybe even shy person who doesn't want to be seen. And maybe they even dress differently with clothes that's probably not them. It's just something as simple as the clothes you're wearing may not even be you because you're just trying to fit in and be quiet and be in the corner. So yeah,
Yeah,
that happens.
it does. It does. I mean, I think most people have at least probably experienced, they may not remember it, but when you're a little kid, sort of between 3 and 4, if you know any little kids between that age, they're always asking questions. It's constant. The world is such an amazing, curious place. Their language skills are good enough, and everything's like, oh, why is that? What is that word? Why? 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 Why?
Right?
And
Yes, they
it
do. Yeah.
tends to annoy the shit out of people around them, even though it's ridiculously cute. And they learn that asking those questions can get really
With
annoying
a
for the people
negative
around them, and they
response.
shut it down.
Yeah.
And so
That's where
that's like, yeah, that's one of the ways that people will kind of shut themselves down and make themselves smaller so that they fit in. And it's, yeah,
yeah.
it's one of
They
those.
diminish what I call their glow.
Mm,
Unknowingly they diminish their glow.
yeah.
Yeah. But we have a 4-year at home too, and she's always, it's the funny thing, like little ones always want to ask you a question that for them is so important, right in the middle of a conversation that you're having with another kid or an adult. And then, you have to teach them, okay, well, say excuse me and just wait your turn.
Yep.
And then you try to finish but it still always doesn't work. What happened? Do you know where my toy is? It's so important. Or just like a random thing. They do that all the time. It's crazy. But yeah, trying to shut them down is gonna really change who they are. And for the most part, I think a lot of kids they don't know the world, so they're very positive, they're very energetic, everything is great. And little by little, we extinguish that little spark, and then we become the jaded adult that's like sees all the crap that's happening in the world, and we can't find the positive. Like we can't. Something that I've learned and I've had to also shift for a few years is you can't try and fix something when you're just looking at the negative, when you're looking at the problem, right? Like you have to shift into what you want to do. What's the positive that you want to do instead of focusing on the negative that's there? We already know it's there. I'm aware of it. I don't need to focus on it and continue talking about it. I need to find the solutions or the positive that I'm going to put into for growth. Like, for instance, we earlier talked about politics. Me complaining about the particular current governor or whoever isn't going to do anything for me. In the state, I have the power to actually vote for the governor as opposed to voting for the president, which is a different story. But in the state, I have that power. I have the power to research. I have the power to elect the person that I feel will do the best job for our state. So I have that power. So instead of looking at, oh my gosh, look at all these candidates, they all suck. Nobody's going to ever be 100% politically aligned with you, ever.
No.
For me, I look at what do I value most and which one aligns with those, as opposed to I need to have one that checks off all my 15 things. That's never going to happen,
Yeah, good luck with that.
right? It's like a show I used to like to watch that one of the main characters said, just because they're moral in one aspect doesn't mean that they're moral in all other aspects.
Oh, that
So
is
they
so
could
true.
be, oh, I'm totally up for human rights. Well, there's also women's rights. There's under human rights, there's women's right, there's LGBTQ rights, there's this rights or that. Does that mean, that's an umbrella name for human rights, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
So are you specifically, or if they say, oh yeah, I'm for LGBTQ, great. Are you for women's rights? That's the morality. Yeah, I'm good for these, but that doesn't mean he's a human's right person. He's good for everything. No. So yeah, having one part doesn't mean that you're with all of them. So it's the same thing, just you have to find the what you value in the positive and look for that. I'm a big solution-based person. That's always
Yeah.
how I've been. Like when I have a friend or a family member who needs some help, I give them the emotional support, and then I'm like, okay, how can I help you? What do you need from me? Because I'll be like, let's research this. Let's see how we get the heck out of this illness. Let's see what we can do to change this. I'm big on let's look for those solutions. Once we're past our huge emotional situation, let's move to the next one. I'm not the kind of person that likes to continue. I don't think I probably would have been a good therapist or a psychologist because I don't like to continue dwelling on that um,
Yeah.
without having to try to move forward and heal and do those other things. Because it's like, I hate the saying because I'm a vegan, but like beating a dead horse. Like, we don't, as a coach, that's not what we do. We don't, and again, there's a lot of trauma that's really big that needs therapy or counseling. Like, unfortunately, someone who's a rape victim or, um, you know, anything else like an accident, and things like that, that were big, very big traumas that will need some healing, right? Months, maybe even years of healing. And that's where the therapist and counselors, comes in because they're working on that healing. As a coach, I'm aware of your emotional issues. I can give you the support. I'm here, but I won't necessarily beat that horse. We're going to move towards, let's look for the solution-based stuff that we're moving forward. Because I don't know if I'm sure you've probably thought of it or have been aware of it. When we're busy, but with a purpose, not just busy for busy's sake, with a
Hmm.
purpose, our brain doesn't have time to sit there and circle around all the BS that we always think about and all our rants and ruminating and all that stuff. We don't have time for that. When we're busy with purpose, when we set goals, when we
No.
create daily plans and daily lists of things that we do to move us forward in our goal and in our life. We don't have time for that. Sometimes we're like,
No.
oh my gosh, my day's gone. Wow, felt so productive. This was great. We move forward, right? Because we're not. You
Yeah.
say now I'm still learning. We never stop learning. So
No.
we never stop growing. And it doesn't mean that we're always having to look for an external goal. Sometimes the internal goal is like peace. I want to be able to find peace in my life. I want to be able to understand myself better, be more self-aware. Those are goals as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's about that's where we get at. So yeah, I mean, again, therapists are there for a reason, counselors are there for a reason. We, as coaches, we do have a bit of that aspect that we don't go as deep because I'm not certified as a peer therapist. I don't have a degree, so I would never do that. I would recommend someone if they need it, but
Yeah. I mean, for me, I definitely subscribe to the theory that where we put our attention is the thing that we feed.
yes.
So if we place all of our attention on the trauma, whether it's a big T or a little t, just for this example,
Yeah,
we are actually feeding that.
we are.
It's only when we switch direction on it and go, okay, how do we release some of the emotions around it? How do we, experience it, let it go, so then we don't have to focus on it. We don't have to put our attention on that. We can put our attention on, as you said, the plans.
Yeah, moving
What's the next
forward,
step?
healing.
Yeah,
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 because we can't heal unless you're able to get that heaviness of the trauma out.
mm,
Healing will start once you're ready. Because like it's funny enough, the company that I ended up working with to get certified, what I loved about that person was his honesty and his rawness. He expressed his experiences and how he looked at them. I mean, he talked about his sexual abuse from a neighbor when he was a little kid. Um, and he talked about it more of like not a matter of fact, but as an experience.
yeah,
And no, and this is also how you know that that experience no longer has an emotional hold on you. When you can talk about it as an experience, something that happened, and you've moved on from it, and it doesn't affect you, it doesn't trigger you, or
Yeah.
somebody else talking about something similar that doesn't trigger you, or you don't get triggered by specific words that might relate to that experience. You're no longer
Yes.
triggered, you don't react, you don't get angry, you don't get upset, or you don't feel anxious or overwhelmed. That's how you know you've released it because it needs to be released from your body, not just your thoughts, right? Not just that
Totally.
emotion, but your body. So that's how you know you've released it, and you see it as an experience, a traumatic experience nonetheless, right? But an experience that you've learned from in whatever way, when you're ready, if you've learned from it. Like I had read this book from this shaman who talked about his client that had an experience that she got, I think, beat up or something like really badly. She had to go to the hospital.
Okay.
And when she came to him, she was obviously broken, overwhelmed, upset, like that traumatic experience was still in her emotional. Um, and with his sessions, she became actually a self-defense trainer because of that.
Ah,
And she's
awesome.
happy. She's like, I'm very happy in what I'm doing in my life right now. And she ended up being able to years later look at that traumatic experience as, my word would be for a catalyst, something that happened to her, and she saw the positive. If that didn't happen to her, she would have not become a self-defense trainer or expert, and she wouldn't be in her purpose, in her
Yeah.
passion. So she
Yeah.
was able to find something so that she can move past that trauma and find where she is now. Because what we do is we end up staying in that trauma, and then we create our life based on that because we haven't let it go.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's cool stuff. Like the way human brains and bodies and
Yeah,
psychologies work. It's endlessly fascinating.
for me, I
Um,
love it.
Me too. I'm going to slowly wrap things up for us, but I have
Yeah, for
a
sure.
few questions that I go through at the end.
Okay, go
Um,
for it.
so, first question, it's a bit of an easy one to be honest. If you could
Okay.
chat with anybody who is alive, one on one, who would you choose, and why would you choose them?
Um, I actually would choose Sadhguru,
Mm-hmm.
um, because funny enough, I watched some of his interviews during my healing process,
Mm-hmm.
and they were very enlightening and eye-opening for me, and something that I feel that I can benefit from his wisdom, and I would love to talk to him.
Awesome. So, if anybody out there knows Satguru, let's make this
Right? That
connection
would be
happen.
great.
That's all I ask. Anybody who knows, just drop a line. Let's make it happen. Um, thank you. Now the next one comes from my previous guest,
Okay.
so I'll try and word it correctly. It's a bit of a longer one, but
Okay.
and it's kind of going to be important. You did mention your book before, so what was the name of your book again?
My book is The Last Matriarch.
The Last Matriarch. All the links and stuff will be down below, by the way, everybody.
Yes.
So that's easy. So this question is remarkably relevant to you, but we're going to do
Okay.
it as if I'll let you choose how you want to do this actually. So, if you wrote a book, which you just have, what would the title be, and how would the title impact a reader who just glanced at it? Let's say at an airport. Let's say it's so. If you understand,
Well, that's actually a little bit difficult for me because, funny enough, I usually write fiction. This
okay,
is my first nonfiction book only because I just felt compelled to write that journey.
hmm
But usually I write fiction books. Um, the title would be, I'm a big thinker of a title, so that's going to be a little bit difficult.
we got time.
Well, I mean, right now I have a book that I'm also writing. I have two books. One's a trilogy, a sci-fi fantasy trilogy,
Awesome.
and another one's just a regular, I guess, you know, uh, fiction book, drama. And for me, and for most, obviously, for all books, it's like a particular type of journey. So both of them are the trilogy actually relates to God and
Hmm.
science fiction and the connection from human beings to the God connection and all that.
Awesome.
And it's not just God, it's gods. It's like the world, the
Ah.
realms of. Yeah. And I don't have a title for it, but I think that it would relate to, because it's about love.
Hmm.
I don't know, I guess this would be a good opportunity to see if there's a title that I'm inclined to use.
Yeah,
Because I think I usually sometimes title my books after I'm done
I
writing them.
understand that.
Yeah. So, well, let's go with the current book I have then, because this one's becoming a little difficult for me. So, The Last Matriarch. What I want to have people get from that title is the strength and the loss. Because
Yeah.
matriarch, patriarch is like a powerful word. It's like about strength, about unity, about that connection that that person keeps within a family.
Hmm.
And then it being the last matriarch, it's we know it's some kind of a loss.
Yes.
So that's what I want people to get from that.
Wow. Thank you. That's very beautiful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And last but not least, I would love you to come up with a random question for my next guest, if that's at all possible.
Okay. Oh, I always love this one. We ask this in our family a lot. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
It's an oldie but a bloody goodie.
I love that one because it's hard. Like I always struggle with like I want to be able to heal people.
Hmm.
But then I'm like, well, maybe teleport. I live in LA. It's crappy traffic. I don't know. So many different choices, and you only have one. So I really do love that one. I'll keep that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, which one would you pick?
I honestly have been big on the healing. I
Okay,
would pick the
that's a
healing.
pretty big superpower.
Yes. I definitely would love that. And not like, I know there's healers out there that take people have to go for several sessions and things. I'm talking about like that healing where all I got to do is bam, you're
Boom.
done.
Like
Yes, boom, you're
that
done.
fantasy sort of healing.
Yes, that fantasy healing where it's like literally a superpower here where oh yeah, I have the
Boom.
power of healing. Bam. It glows. Boom.
It's not radioactive, people. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's good
right? It's
glow.
it's all good. It's all good. It's the light. It's the light. Yeah, that kind of healing.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much, Eliza.
Thank you so much, Nigel. It was really great talking to you. I had a lot of fun.